Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fiestro, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming in. This is our very first episode of Negotiating Happiness. My name is Adriana Fiestro, and I will be your host. And in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have other guests, other entrepreneurs that will share their wisdom with us. So the big question is, where do we start? So let's start a little bit about me. Like I said, Adriana Fiestro, I run OntarioAssistant.com, and I am so grateful to be here. So I need to give a quick shout out to our network here, United Public Radio Network. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for letting me dip my toes into this wonderful industry of radio. So we are broadcasting live again on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And again, welcome. Now we're going on to me blabbing on about who I am. You guys are actually able to leave comments and on all of our platforms that we are streaming on. So we are on YouTube, we're on Twitch, on various Facebook pages. So please feel free, don't be shy with the comments. Okay. So how did I start this? I actually started this business as a virtual assisting business that caters to small businesses and entrepreneurs. I have a legal background and I focus on operational efficiency. I do specialize in setting up new platforms, developing marketing practices, and updating the online presence for business owners. So what does that mean? If you are the everything manager, I am your everything manager. So it could mean anything from helping you out with figuring out a solution on how to market, to actually doing it, to updating a website, to putting you in contact with all kinds of other entrepreneurs to help you out. So my legal background, I'm actually licensed to be a paralegal, and I did practice and I enjoyed my time doing the work, but I thought that there came a point where I wanted to branch out on my own and be my own entrepreneur. And I did. And what a great time to start when you are on maternity leave. And I say that with a smile because it was a wild ride. I started this business when my son was about a year old, probably a little bit before that. And we were dealing with so much. And also it was during the pandemic. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate with a lot of struggles that came our way, or with a lot of unknowns. But before that, I did various things. I was a hearings officer in the Social Services Committee in Scotland. I actually worked overseas. I was a graphic editor for the University of Toronto, and I did many things. I've worked in the medical industry, I've worked in the legal industry, I did it all. So I thought, what better way to help small business owners than to put my knowledge up to the test. So we're in 2023, and I've been running it for a couple of years now. And I say this to everyone, but I'm kicking myself for not starting this sooner. I really do have a passion for solving problems and helping others succeed. It's like a puzzle. It's like a life's puzzle that I get to figure out. Excuse me. So I was mentioning before that during maternity leave, we had a lot of struggles, just like everybody else did in the pandemic. But another big thing that not a lot of people talk about, and I have to say, I'm a young mom, so I'm still fairly limited in my experience, but boy, have the last 3 years taught me so much. When I first started my business, I was still dealing with postpartum depression, a new baby that never wanted to nap, and we had just moved into our new home, and I was building a business from scratch that I didn't really know how or when it was going to succeed. So I everything was pretty much just, okay, take it one day at a time and go through it. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate with that. Um, like I wasn't able to find daycare, and I know childcare is a very big thing for a lot of people, for a lot of parents, and I'm sure that a lot of people can relate. Like what happens when your child is sick and you have to go to work or you have a client meeting. Pretty much everything gets turned upside down, and you deal with your child because what else are you going to do? We will end up talking a lot about parenting and how to deal with a new business or even an older business, or how your values align with what you do in and outside of work. So this is going to be a reoccurring theme. But for the first little while in my business, I didn't even have regular daycare or reliable daycare. It was pretty much whenever we could find the time, that's when we would do the work, and to try and build this thing. So I have to say that looking back now, it was difficult, but when you're in it, you just kind of deal with it. And I feel like a lot of moms can relate to this, where people ask you, "Oh wow," or they make comments of, "Oh wow, I can't believe you're doing this and this and this," and just like, "Oh, you're like superwoman." And it's not that they're superwomen, it's just that they just figure it out, and when they're in it, they just know they don't have a choice and they get it done. So if you are one of those moms, if you're one of those business owners, or maybe you're one of those dads, right? You're one of those dads that had to take over as the lead caretaker of your child. You guys all need to give yourselves a pat on the back, because this is not easy. And we talk a lot about what is difficult and what people don't like to mention. Everybody likes to post around their successes and their awards, their meetings, their deals, and what goes through and how much money they've made online. But not a lot of people will talk about, the bad days, um, the shaky days, the days that you don't know how you're going to finish. So it's going to be a pretty realistic view of, what happens in the real world as an entrepreneur, building a new business, and perhaps having a child or somebody to take care of, or additional responsibilities that you need to make time for. And another huge part of this will be about how, yes, we have all of those things to do, but what are we doing to make ourselves happy? What are the things that will make us go, this is why I'm hustling. This is why I'm, maybe spending evenings and weekends for a while, just so that I can enjoy this and be happy, enjoy my success, and spend time with friends, with family, and appreciate me as a person. And I know everybody online talks about, self-care and, treat yourself. But it's not just that, it has to be a constant balance. I find that a lot of people don't think about work-life balance as a process. They think that once you achieve it, it's there. And that's just simply not true. It's constant, right? So just because you're working, let's say 5 hours a day, and you used to work 9 or 12, that you have so much time that you have that balance. It's not just about time. It's about, your clients, who you're dealing with, how you're spending your time, what you would rather be doing. So it's always, always a constant struggle. And I'm on the quest to find entrepreneurs that will share with me how they get to their happy, what it means for them to be happy, because you will soon find out that it means very, very different things for everyone. For me, I'm actually an well, I'm going to say I'm an avid traveler. I want to be an avid traveler now that, the borders are opening back up and we can travel. I am right on that travel train, so to speak. And that is happy for me. That is what makes me feel excited, what I look forward to. And I know people who have never left the country and they're still happy. So I want to know what makes them, be happy. So here's some fun facts about entrepreneur life or small businesses that I thought I would share with everybody. I know we're live right now in New Orleans, but I'm actually really close to Toronto, up all the way in Canada. And I want to say hello to all of my Canadian friends. Hello to all of my American friends. Thank you so much for listening. I am super excited to be here. So I'm going to try and gear my content to both my American friends and my Canadian friends because, hey, we're all friends. So here we go. I don't know if you knew a lot of these stats. I knew part of them, but not all of them. I decided to go on a quest on Google, and I checked out the Small Business Administration, the Government of Canada, Industry Canada, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the Innovation, Science, and Economic Development of Canada websites. And this is how I've gotten my information, just in case you were wondering. So in the US, small businesses account for about 99.9% of all businesses, while in Canada, they account for 97.9% of all businesses. So very similar, but I don't think that I knew how influential small businesses were to the entire market, to our economies. That's a huge, huge percentage of people who have decided to work for themselves and contribute to the economy, to their communities. They're creating jobs. This is huge. This is huge. I love these numbers. And in both the US and Canada, small businesses employ a significant portion of the workforce. So in the US, it's about 47.1%. And in Canada, it's estimated to be over 70%. That is huge. So imagine what our economy would look like without small businesses. What would the job market be like? I think we have a lot of people to thank for taking that leap because let's face it, starting a small business is very risky, but it can also be very rewarding. In Canada, I know that about 85% of small businesses have fewer than 5 employees. So that means that, you're one step away from an entrepreneur here. I mean, a lot of us are entrepreneurs are on our own, and apparently the majority are not that far away from us. So we can deduce from these kinds of statistics that it's very we're so close to that threshold of success and maintaining that success. And yes, we can get to the point where we have employees if that's what you want. Yes, we can sustain a business and be successful. Look at that. 85% of us have fewer than 5 employees. And if you can make that work, great. And I'll tell you this, I'm sure this is going to be a topic on the show. Hiring, staffing, dealing with employees is not easy. It's not just about, giving orders or delegating tasks on what to do. So this is definitely going to be a major topic. And I'm sure a lot of my entrepreneur friends have a lot to say about it. It's not easy, but it's also doable. And it's something that will help you scale and grow. Here's another statistic. The failure rate, since we do have to talk about the bad stuff too, I did promise we're going to look at both here. The failure rate for small businesses is similar in both of our countries with about 50%, which will fail within their first 5 years. So that's 1 out of 2 businesses, and that's a huge, huge numbers. And I mean, it could be because of a lot of factors. I know that there are differences in terms of regulations or government support and other factors that could impact the success of small businesses between Canada and the US. But I think that in some respects we have similar business cultures or business practices sometimes. We're also structured differently in terms of geography. And I know a lot of people ask the question of how much does geography count these days, since we're also global and a lot of small businesses are virtual, and maybe are not the traditional brick and mortar businesses. So this is something that we can explore. I know that I have entrepreneur friends who are very successful now, but they will tell you their stories where they've had a few of their businesses fail before they got to that sweet spot where they found success and maintained it and are living their best lives. So stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoy some of these facts because they were definitely eye-opening for me, and I hope they are eye-opening for you. I'm going to try and sprinkle them into every single one of our episodes going forward. I will tell you this about my own personal business success. I'm going to try to be very transparent. In my first year of business, I shocked myself because the biggest win for me wasn't the amount of dollars, but it was, I mean, it had to do with it, obviously, because life is expensive. And we all know now, even with the inflation going on. But it was the fact that I worked less hours and I made slightly more money than what I was making at my full-time job, where I felt like I was killing myself doing. So for me, it was the fact that I worked less hours and I wasn't stressed to the max. So my mind, my body, my soul wasn't in survival mode the entire time. That for me was worth it. It was worth the sleepless nights with the baby and then getting up and, working on a website or figuring out a marketing strategy or figuring out how I can keep my overhead costs low. I was like, yes, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be working less, but more efficient and providing the same kind of value as if I was working more, but also working with people that appreciate you and that need your services, that are appreciative of the results, but also of the process that you're taking them through. It was like night and day, the interactions. And, they do say that so you have a job and your coworkers are not the best, that will, the coworkers make the job kind of thing. And it's true. And even though I don't have coworkers because I work as a sole proprietor, my clients are the best. They're very appreciative. They're mindful of your time. I just have to say that I'm super, super lucky, and I haven't had to deal with a lot of conflict when it comes to clients, which is, again, unheard of sometimes, especially at the beginning. I do think that this really helps if you are in a position where you've done a lot of customer service work or have dealt with a lot of different industries. I think you'd be better equipped to work for yourself in that regard because you know how to deal with people, what to expect, how to manage your time, all of those key factors that will help you succeed. And I mean, I know I didn't face a lot of challenges in terms of dealing with my clients, but I've faced a lot of challenges in other ways. And in many, many ways, while I was figuring out my business, I wasn't figuring out my happy. I wasn't thinking about, okay, I am going to make this successful for for my livelihood, but also for me and for my family. And the only thing I could think about was I just have to make it successful. And it's that, attitude of hustling that a lot of people in 2023 would say that it's toxic. I'm always a believer in balance. So like you have to have a little bit of that attitude to hustle to get where you want to be, but you also have to have an attitude of I'm going to attract my ideal clients if I'm going to be my ideal self, or I'm going to attract the kind of business that I need by offering the same value in return. So that means that you have to take a step back and you have to say, you know, I have limits and I'm going to work on keeping those while doing a great job with my work. So my challenges were I was already sleep deprived with a 1-year old. I was constantly working on improving things like website and socials um and jotting down all of the ideas. I had so many ideas and I continue to be that person that has, you know, 10 steps ahead in development, but I don't have enough of the time to actually go do it. So then you know that that's signaling that you need some help. And, you know, I'm very much self-aware of that. And whereas I find that with certain clients that I help out, they're not self-aware. They know what needs to be done now and they just focus on that. So I will say that my challenge is that I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just not doing it. It's as simple as that. Um, I did struggle a lot with medical problems while I was starting out my business. I had issues with my sciatic nerve, and if anybody's experienced sciatic pain, you must know how incredibly painful that is. And if you don't, it's um, definitely debilitating, and at one point, I was feeling like I didn't wanna do this anymore. I'm getting very vulnerable now, but I feel like people need to hear this so that, they understand, um, that it's okay to be low in order to get to the point where you're going to be high in terms of success and feeling and just getting it all right. But yeah, I definitely struggled a lot with postpartum depression, and to my very surprised self, I struggled with postpartum anger. And I have to give credit to my partner Brad because I he he was the object of my anger a lot of the times, and I'm sure um you know, parents can relate to this. Hormones are crazy. I don't know who needs to hear this, but hormones are crazy. And also, you're still healing and trying to deal with your own body, your changes, your baby that needs you constantly, your partnership, everything. Um, oh, I just noticed here, guys. I just trying to give a quick shout out. Michelle, let's travel. I've traveled lots with Michelle. Michelle is a producer here on the network, and she also has her show on Wednesdays and Thursdays at 9 p.m. EDT. So if you're into the outer realm and talking about all paranormal things, please check out her show. It's pretty cool. I've known Michelle for a really long time, and her family. So, yes, Michelle, travel. We've done a lot of travel together, so she's probably reminiscing at this point. And oh, and another hello from Canada from Bianca. Well, thank you, friend. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on and leaving comments. I will try and acknowledge all of you if I see them here on the board. If not, I will get back to you right after the show. But anyway, sorry. So getting back to the really sad and true topic about postpartum. I will say this: I was very open and very understanding, and very much um, on it about mental health. Um, you just never think it's going to be you. So I had a really hard time understanding that it's okay. Like we're gonna figure it out. It's okay. So I will say this: I wish I got the help that I needed a lot sooner in terms of counseling and going to your doctor and doing all of those things that you never think you're going to have to do. So on top of having my mind race about business and about, new baby, I had to deal with myself and I wasn't feeling like myself at the time. So it's okay to have those challenges. And out of that, I was able to build something that was good for me and my family, like when my son is sick, for example, at daycare and they call me to pick him up, yeah, I can do that. No problem, right? When I need to go to my appointments or take care of my back, I had a lot of physical issues after I had my son. And I did a lot of physio, chiropractic treatments, massages, and it was really helpful that I get to make my own schedule. Who can say that outside of business owners? I get to make my own schedule, and I get to sometimes work during hours. I'm a night owl, so sometimes the house is really quiet after everybody goes to bed, and that's when I work, and that's okay. That works for me. It works for my clients. So this is a huge benefit. But like I said, out of those challenges came this sudden urge to change my mindset about what business meant and about what what's the meaning of office hours. I don't know. For me, they're different. For you, they might be different as well. What's the meaning of vacation, right? What's the mean? Like, how am I going to deal with emergencies? I am a lot less stressed dealing with a lot of things because we have dealt with a lot of things in the past little while. Not just me, but as a collective. I'm a lot less stressed now than I was before I even had a child or a family to tend to or whatever, because you're always thinking, oh, what's my boss going to think about me taking time off? How am I going to make up for this work? But now you're doing it in such a different mindset because you've learned from the challenges that you've had. And also, I'm not going to lie, some of the challenges were so difficult for me that now the day-to-day challenges are like, whatever, we just do it and move on with our lives, right? So it's definitely life-changing. And my whole show is about, I highly recommend that you work for yourself. So yeah, this is a lot of what I had to go through. And the very first challenges regarding to business were getting clients. But I have to say, I always say I got lucky. I think, I don't know if I got lucky or if I was just there at the right time with the right strategy. A lot of my clients that I work with now that are ongoing, I've worked with them since I've started, so a couple of years. And I'm super grateful for that. I do take on temporary projects, and those seem to be the clients that will come back over and over whenever they need other projects, which I'm also super thankful for. And a lot of this has come from, marketing strategy or word of mouth or referrals. So that's not going to change, right? Word of mouth, the earliest form of marketing. Here we are still using it, still being very successful to this day. So yes, there were some challenges. I think a lot of business owners can say the same thing. I think I've lost a lot of business at the beginning because my tech wasn't working properly and people thought I was ignoring them. So that was a huge challenge. I think I just, ignored, I think, over 12 inquiries. That's a lot of clients, potential clients, right? That's a lot of potential projects that slipped away because my tech wasn't working properly. That was yet another push for me to get familiar with even more platforms because we are in a digital world. So I needed to adapt even more. I need to learn even more. So my learning curve was pretty steep. But in one way, I'm glad I did because it showed me what other business owners are going through, right? I was able to relate to everybody else that was, overwhelmed by all of the information that we keep seeing every day. And I was able to offer them a solution or to offer them, ways of dealing with inquiries or information or scheduling, right? We're all kind of juggling time here. So yeah, that's probably another of the big challenges. The one thing I will say is that out of all of this, resilience and persistence, those two concepts are crucial, because they help individuals overcome obstacles and challenges, right? So I've just described a bunch of my own in personal and professional, right? So resilience is the ability to recover quickly, right? Um, this is where stress comes in, right? Resilience. Persistence refers to the ability to continue working towards it. So not letting it affect you. Just, despite you encountering all these obstacles and challenges, you just have to keep going. Just keep looking forward. It'll both of these together will help you overcome setbacks easily. And I say this easily because looking back at it, you will say, oh, that was easy because you've already gone over it. So the next thing that comes in will seem difficult until it's not, right? It'll build mental toughness. So being resilient is a really, really good characteristic to have in life. It also develops problem solving skills, which is, I don't know a single job or business out there that doesn't require problem solving skills. This is why some people are bad at business, because they don't have any problem solving skills. And a lot of the people that don't, they're smart enough to hire people that do. So, and it also promotes learning and growth, right? What you learned from your previous setback, again, that you use that for your next one, and the previous one will seem like it was easy peasy, because you've learned from it, you've adapted, right? And you can also inspire others with how resilient and persistent you are. This is really good if you have employees, or if you're working with contractors, or maybe you're inspiring your kid that's looking up to you. I have to say that my almost 3-year-old, he started to speak a little while ago, and he blows my mind every day. The other day, we were getting him ready in the morning, and he was asking me, "Is mommy going to work?" And I didn't even realize that he understood what my schedule was like, right? And I say, "Yeah," and now it's an even more of a push for me to get to where I want to be, to keep working, to keep developing, to keep hustling, but also spend time with him and be with him and create memories with him, because I want to inspire him to think the same way, that you can work and you can be successful and you can also live your life. So if you're not going to do it for you every day, big picture, who are you doing it for? You're doing it for your kid, you're doing it for your friends, for your family. Are you doing it to to be more constructive than destructive in your life, depending on what kind of situation you're in? Who knows? But you have to kind of keep in mind that even though you don't think so, other people are watching in your life. Okay. And I also wanted to share, because I thought it was very, very interesting. I wanted to share a couple of stories of really well-known businesses and the kind of challenges that they went through. Um, and we're gonna go through that. And if you guys have any more comments that I can see, I will definitely address them. And then we're going to talk a bit about I call it my random past, to give you a little bit more of an idea of who I am, and how I got here. I guess so far that what my struggles are, and kind of a little bit about what I do. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about my random past, and maybe it'll give you an insight into my, because every time I speak to people, and I tell them my work history or my life history, they always use the word random, because it is, and I'm kind of proud of that. I have some life experience, and maybe some other people my age don't. So to each his own, right? I can't wait to get you guys into to listen to some of the guests that I have planned. There's some pretty cool people out there who are killing it in the entrepreneur world. So I can't wait to do that. But okay, let's go to some stories about some really popular businesses and what challenges they faced, because I want this to be inspiring to everybody that's possibly thinking about starting their own business. So the first one here is the story of Airbnb. And I mean, I'm sure everybody knows about Airbnb. Maybe you've used it. Maybe you've had friends who've used it. It's a home sharing platform that allows individuals to rent out their homes or apartments to different travelers, visitors, whoever. The company was founded in 2008 by Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia and Nathan Blair Chizik in San Francisco. And I apologize if I've butchered those names. I tried. I've taken this information straight from their website, and I looked up some of the challenges that they had in Forbes magazine. So this is where my facts are coming from. So in the early years, Airbnb faced a few challenges. One was convincing people to use the platform. And you can imagine what it was like. Now it's normal to us because we are very much connected globally through the internet. But earlier, imagine telling somebody you can rent somebody's apartment, a complete stranger in a different country. I see where this came from. Of course, it was challenging convincing people to use the platform. You had no idea where you were sending money to be able to visit some person's home in some other country. A lot of their customers were hesitant to stay in a stranger's home. I think that's pretty obvious. And it took a lot of marketing and outreach to build trust with the users of the website. They also faced some legal challenges, and I actually remember this from personal experience. We were visiting Spain. Yes, we were visiting Spain. We were in Barcelona, and we had rented through Airbnb this quaint little apartment. And the host flat out told us, you can't tell the neighbors that you are tourists. And we didn't know why. And I guess it's a little bit like, you know how you have condo boards and they restrict some of the ways that you can use your condos. I guess it's kind of the same thing. But a lot of cities and countries were skeptical of the home sharing model, so they sought to regulate it or ban it. So this was on a bigger scale, not just, condo boards. The company had to navigate these challenges and work with governments to find solutions. So you can imagine how many roadblocks they had and how much work it took, and to build that relationship. But it's a good story, because you want to see that building a relationship works. You're not just relying on the internet to do work for you, or Facebook ads. I know a lot of people use all kinds of ads. And two, those are some pretty big challenges. Those are legal challenges, and they got over them. And now it's the #1 home sharing platform. To be honest, I don't even think I know of another one. That's how big it is. So really good story, entrepreneurial story, I should say. I'll give you a Canadian example, which I'm so embarrassed. I didn't even know this was a Canadian company until I looked this up. So this is about Lululemon Athletica. So I'm sure you guys know it's yoga-inspired athletic apparel, and it was founded by Chip Wilson in Vancouver, Canada in 1998. And at the very beginning, he was selling his products at yoga studios and fitness centers, but he realized that he could expand his reach because they were becoming really popular. I was taking this information from their website, and the challenges that I'm about to mention were from a CNBC article that talked about their growth. So as I said, they faced a lot of challenges as well as it grew. The biggest one was maintaining the quality control as the company expanded. And I know a lot of people know they love their products because their quality is amazing. And their attention to detail. It was difficult to maintain these standards as it grew, and it became an outsourcing problem because they do outsource to other countries. And I know a lot of people have the different opinions about that. But we're just looking at it as an issue of, challenge being overcome. So, Lululemon has faced lots of criticism for their business practices. But I'm just looking at it purely from how do you outsource? How do you maintain the same quality that your customers or clients have grown to know? And how do you make sure that your production continues um, to grow while doing all of that? That's something that's very relatable, even to small businesses and entrepreneurs like us. I have a hard time finding other contractors that will do for me what I do for my clients in order to be able to take on more. Outsourcing is definitely a concern when it comes to quality. So I've just realized here what the time is. I'm just going to do a quick station ID for anybody tuning in just now. You're listening to Negotiating Happiness, and we're live on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And we're also streaming on all of the popular streaming platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, you name it. We're on all of them. So welcome if you're just joining in late. We're talking about what negotiating happiness means to me as an entrepreneur and why I started the show. And we're actually just in the middle of talking about some success stories that face some pretty big challenges, because I had just finished telling you guys about some of my challenges as a small business owner. So we have another story here with a company that you guys probably know. It's Spanx, right? So Spanx is the shapewear company. It was founded by Sarah Blakely in Atlanta, Georgia in 2000. And she came up with the idea for Spanx while getting ready for a party and realizing she didn't have the right undergarment to wear under her white pants. So she cut off the feet of her control top pantyhose, and thus the idea of Spanx was born. How cool, right? I definitely looked on Spanx's website, and yet again, I went on Forbes and I consulted their articles on some of the challenges that they faced. So I feel like this story a lot of people can relate to, because she began selling Spanx out of her apartment, and the company grew rapidly. She eventually quit her job and focused on building it up full time. And today, Spanx is a $1 billion company selling a variety of products, including like bras and leggings and swimsuits and whatnot. But they did face quite a few challenges. The challenge for them was getting the product into physical stores. Many retailers were kind of skeptical of the shapewear market, and it was difficult for Blakely to convince them to carry her products. She had to rely a lot on word of mouth and direct consumer to consumer sales to kind of build the brand. So yet again, the idea of building relationships and partnerships comes to mind. And they also expanded internationally. So that was a whole other slew of challenges that they faced. They had to navigate cultural differences and adapt its products to different markets. So that's another thing that, maybe you can relate to. I have clients that a lot of their clients come from other countries, right? I always tell people when they ask me what I do, or what I used to do, is when I was just saying, "Oh, I'm just a virtual assistant," and people are like, "What's that?" Right? And I used to say, "Oh, it's really popular in Australia." Right? Like it's really popular in the UK or the Philippines, or and having these services that are provided in different areas of the world will provide different results as well. So that's interesting that Spanx I didn't even think about it because they did expand internationally. So I would assume that they would have a lot of cultural differences to navigate there. I mainly work with people that are somewhat local, but I'm also on the precipice of expanding. So I'm hoping to kind of go through the journey with you guys and show you kind of like the ins and outs of what it's like. So here we go. One of the last stories is about Shopify. And again, I'm embarrassed that I didn't know this was a Canadian company, um, because we all know who Shopify is. They're an e-commerce platform. And it was founded by Tobias Lukey, Daniel Waynand, and Scott Lake in Ottawa, in Canada in 2006. So it actually began as an online snowboard shop. But the founders quickly realized that there was a need for a better e-commerce platform for small businesses. So they set up Shopify, where businesses like you and I can set up an online store and sell products to customers around the world. They went public in 2015 and has since become the largest e-commerce platform in the world, with more than 1.7 million businesses using the platform to sell their products online. And they faced several challenges in the early years. One of the biggest ones was convincing businesses to use the platform. I feel like that's a common one, right? It's like, why do I need to do this? Especially at the time when it wasn't a popular thing to do, right? Um, they were hesitant to sell their products online. That's also, I feel like that's also a geographical thing as well. If you're a small business and you're used to going to markets and fairs and or making partnerships with stores that will sell your products, it would have been a very difficult thing to understand that you can sell your products online at the time. Shopify also faced challenges in building a user-friendly platform. They had to invest heavily in research and development to create a platform that was easy to use and that was customizable for all of these businesses, because not all the businesses are the same in different sizing and different markets. And it also faced some challenges in scaling its infrastructure to handle the increasing demand for the services. So they went from not having enough people using it to having too many people using it. So it just shows you, even a brand that's this, successful has to go through their ups and downs. There's no other way around it. So we just kind of have to embrace it. I took some of my facts there, guys, from Shopify's website and TechCrunch. Here we go. We have a comment from Amy. Hi, Amy. Guys, Amy is my sister-in-law. Thanks so much for the support, guys. How important is content creation to new businesses? So that's a really interesting question. I get this question a lot. Depending on the industry that you're in, that answer will vary. I have businesses that have been thriving for 20 years. And while they know that they're in this new digital era of, content, piece after piece after piece, they only subscribe basically to one platform and they stick to it and it works for them. And that would be probably LinkedIn, because a lot of their customer base comes from people that are on LinkedIn solely. So for them, it's not really that important, but it's important to establish yourself as a brand. So even if you're not getting customers or clients online, it's really valuable to establish yourself as one of the brands that people go to when they need your kinds of services. So even if you don't have a huge following, I still think that it's important to put out valuable content, not just fluff pieces. But then again, if you look at photography or interior design, I would say they have to make content regularly because they're very visual industries, and these platforms cater to very visual consumers. And in that case, I would say that it's very important to create content for those kinds of industries. And they also serve as a portfolio. I myself have looked for photographers before, and I love checking out their Instagram accounts because I can see their work right there, right? So it depends. Thank you for the question. That's awesome. I think I think those questions here came in through YouTube, guys. So I don't know what link you have, but soon we're going to have more links up. But for now, if you want to get your comments up, YouTube is the place to be. Okay, so let's see. Where are we at? There we go. So we've talked about challenges in businesses. We've talked about some statistics of small businesses. I thank you for listening in, for going through this this crazy first episode with me. I did promise you I was going to share a little bit more information about myself. So here are some really random facts. I was talking to a friend earlier, and I was telling her how I'm nervous, and it's such a normal feeling to have. But I will say this. She was saying, don't worry, you've got this, you've done this before, kind of thing. And I just remembered to say, I've been in such random situations that I should be able to adapt to pretty much anything. So I'll give you 2 tidbit stories that maybe we'll touch base in more details in other shows and other episodes. But I've been around royalty and like the British Secret Service, and I managed to kind of keep it together, or slightly make a fool out of myself, and I just laugh about it now. I've been actually with Michelle, our producer, in the haunted forest in Romania. I don't know if you guys are fans, but it's it was quite the story, and it was scary. It was wild. I don't even know how to explain it. So, I mean, I've survived that too. I've been in a lot of different situations where nerves have come into place, or, I've needed to adapt quickly. And another thing that I remember from my coach, I did judo for a while. And my coach always used to say, the reason why you're nervous is it's normal because your body's getting ready to do great things. And that kind of stuck with me. Michelle in the comment here on Facebook. Yes. Michelle, Melissa, and me, we went to Hoya Baciu Forest, which is the haunted forest that I was talking about. That was a wild, wild trip, and I'm sure we can talk about it. Michelle's actually talked about it in her show with Amelia. If you guys want to check out any of Michelle's episodes, they are in archive on all of our websites. My show is also going to be an archive on all of the websites. So if you missed it, don't worry. Or if your friends and family missed it, you can access it. I will post links as well on all of my channels. But yeah, let's see what other random facts. I love coffee and anything that has caramel in it, which I feel like I laugh all the time when I see memes about coffee being a, loving coffee is not a personality. So real bacon here from Michelle. Yes, I love bacon. Who doesn't? What else? I have a son. He's going to be 3, and we're having a Spider-Man party for him. So any of the parents out there listening, I feel your pain. I also have to sit through hours and hours of Minions movies on repeat. So I feel you. Oh, Michelle, travel guide guru. I love traveling. Thank you for mentioning that. I love traveling. So I ended up telling everybody, if you were willing to listen, I would talk to you about travel for hours, but I also would offer my service to you for free of planning your vacation or your backpacking trip. I've actually been backpacking for 3 months. And it was one of those trips where I had no idea where the money was coming from, but I did it and I don't regret it at all. It was wonderful. I was, fresh out of school, ready to take on the world. So since then, I've done smaller trips, but that was probably my biggest trip. One of the best trips that I've been on was Tenerife in the Canary Islands. It's it's part of Spain. That was amazing. It was like a whole other world with a volcano on there. Even the vegetation was a little bit different. Michelle and I traveled to France. We've gone through Scotland. That was a lot of fun as well. We saw a lot of old architecture and a lot of protected sites. Bianca, you did the bravest thing of all, traveled with your young child. Oh, well, thank you. Yes, we recently went to Mexico. It was really wonderful. We went to Puerto Vallarta and we were only there for a week, and it was not long enough. And I have to say, kudos to my 2-year-old. He did really good. However, I will tell you right now, he had an iPad with him pretty much at all times. So don't feel guilty. Other than that, he enjoyed, he was pretty active, pool and beach and walking. And, we went to see a bunch of the surrounding villages. It was wonderful. He did really good. Really proud of him. But yeah, I could talk about travel for a while. So I'm sure that'll come up here and there. My next trip, I think it would have to say that I'd have to go back and visit my grandparents in Romania. I'm actually Romanian. I was born there and I moved to Canada when I was 12. So I want to go see them. I've taken my friends, Michelle and Melissa, to Romania, and they loved it. And it was a really proud moment. Michelle's commenting that she thinks it's beautiful. Thank you. It was. And I honestly, when I left as a child, I think I saw it with different eyes. But when I came back as an adult, it was definitely a pleasant experience. And I understood a lot more about, climates of countries and what they're going through a lot more. Love your grandparents. Thanks, Michelle. I love my grandparents too. They're those people who, they won't speak English, but they'll sit you down and they'll cook you a meal and they'll try and get you drunk with the strongest cherry liqueur that they have. So, that's, and wine. Yes, Michelle, and wine. For sure. Hospitality is everything to Romanian people. I don't know if any Romanians are listening, but I'm sure they'll agree with me. Hospitality is key. You're not polite if you don't offer everything that you have. So I'm glad I learned that when I was a kid. But yeah, we're nearing the end of the show, guys. So I'd like to thank you all for listening. And I'd like to thank the network for having me on. Michelle, thank you so much for producing. Again, check out her show. It's on Wednesdays and Thursdays on the same network at 9 p.m. EDT. And so that would be 8 p.m. CDT in New Orleans. And I really hope you guys are going to tune in. I'll be on every Monday at noon. So grab your lunch, grab your coffee, and let's chat. We'll chat about business and life and travel and what makes you happy. Oh, thanks, Bianca. Great show. Please come back. I will come back. Thank you so much. You guys are just the best. Absolute best. On the next, we're going to be talking about different things. I was going to let you guys in on some of the episodes that we have. So we're going to be talking about mindset a lot, the importance of mindset in entrepreneurship, about aligning your business with your values and why that's important. We've got on the schedule here strategies for finding that work-life balance and finding your harmony, and how to build a support system. How many of us need a support system for everything, not just raising a child or a partnership? I'm talking about business, how to build that support system. And this is a good one. Overcoming fear and imposter syndrome. Hi, I'm still there sometimes. So I'm sure a lot of people can relate. We've got other topics coming in like embracing failure and the benefits of learning from setbacks, and the power of authenticity, building a brand that reflects your values. That's pretty cool. And building a sustainable business. And the art of mindfulness, finding balance and presence in a busy world. We're all busy, so I'm sure you guys can relate. Well, I hope I've piqued your interest, and I hope you guys come back next week. And if you have any entrepreneur friends, or you are an entrepreneur yourself and you'd like to be on and tell us how you do things, send me a quick email and we'll set it up. Thank you all for tuning in.